Hello friends, this is Worm, and Bungie hates when I win an Iron Banner, and today I wanted to talk about some changes rather, that I think would benefit the Crucible greatly. Of course, we made a video a couple days ago bashing Bungie, saying that they're not going to get anything done, because that's what always happens when they post these, give us feedback on PvP stuff, but I figured, just in case they might want to listen, we'll talk about the issues that or maybe not the issues, but the things that I think should change in PvP to make it for the better. Now, these are in no particular order. I've just kind of thought of these like as we've gone along. But I do want to start with Iron Banner, because I think that the system that they have for, your win-loss ratio is kind of BS, all right? And so that's the first thing I'm going to talk about, is like this, I guess you could say, like skill-based matchmaking on top of how they factor like a player's wins and losses, right? I've been playing Iron Banner a lot over the past few days, trying to just get up my rank, and plus they took out my favorite game mode, which is control. So been playing Iron Banner, and man, the losses are feels bad, right? So the first day that I played, we absolutely slayed out, right? I won almost every single game that day, and from that day, and I was playing solo, mind you, playing solo. From that day, I have won like maybe 3 games in the past like 48 hours, right? Or I should say past 72 hours, because it's Monday, huh? In the past 72 hours. And so I think that the first thing that they should do is like rebalance teams. Or okay, first of all, skill-based matchmaking should not be a thing in the 6 playlist, right? In the 6s, you could make an argument for Iron Banner. I think in Iron Banner it's maybe more appropriate to have a skill-based matchmaking system, but in just regular control, in your rotator playlist and stuff like that, that's not the place to have skill-based matchmaking. And I think that Bungie said one time, they're like, hey, we're gonna change the sixes playlist to connection-based matchmaking, which is what it should be. It's what it should be. But again, in my control games, like last week, I'm not feeling that, right? I'm not feeling like, oh, I can just put on whatever I want. I've got to put on, my try-hard loadouts, right? Like I've been trying to play with Hawkmoon a little bit lately, just to play with something new, right? I don't use hand cannons, that's no secret around here on the channel, but I wanted to try out Hawkmoon and just kind of play around with it, because I have a really cool ornament that I never used, and I figured out that I had it, so why not, right? But I'm not very good with hand cannons because I don't use them, because I don't really like them. So when I get put into lobbies with the absolute sweatiest of sweaties, it's very difficult to get better with hand cannons, right? Because I don't have the practice fodder, so to speak, right? I'm not gonna sit here and say I'm a top, X% of players. I'm not gonna sit here and say that I'm the best player and that I'll 1v1 anybody, right? But I know that I'm an above average player. I've been playing for a decade almost. I know that I'm above average, right? And for me to get better, I need players, who are a little bit, again, lower skill. That way I can actually contest them when using hand cannons, right? If I wanted to go play and sweat my ass off, I would go to the Trials playlist, or I'd go to Connection base, Comp. Sorry, that's what I meant, Comp, right? Those are the places where skill-based matchmaking is important, right? And I wouldn't change it. Like in Comp, it's frustrating, because in Comp, you're at the mercy of Destiny's matchmaking that decides, whether you win or lose, right? And that's frustrating. But again, I think skill-based matchmaking makes sense there, not in 6s, right? So connection-based matchmaking is a big thing that I want Bungie to do. And I want them to remove this system where, they want to keep players at a 50% win-loss ratio, right? I would rather win a game and have a piss poor KD than lose a game and have a high KD, right? And I know that that's not everybody's mindset, but it's frustrating, especially in Iron Banner, whenever I'm fighting my heart out to try to win the game. I'm trying to hold flags, I'm not, running around like a chicken with my head cut off going for kills, and none of my teammates are reciprocating that, right? Or it's putting me with teammates that are, much lower than the average skill level of the enemy team or something like that, and it's frustrating to win. In a 6v6 game mode, you cannot win by yourself, right? No matter how hard you play or try, you can't win by yourself. You could make an argument in game modes like Comp or Trials that you could potentially pull off 1v3s regularly, but in the 6s, that's not really a feasible thing. So I think that, they should remove that 50% win-loss ratio, because if a player wants to go for wins every time, they're going to do it. And if a player wants to go for high KDs every game, they're going to do it. I feel like it really only hurts the players that are just trying to win, right? And that's the first change that I would make is, to the game is with skill-based matchmaking and with the win-loss ratio, matching, so to speak, right? But anyway, so that the next thing, I feel like it needs to be addressed here. Cheaters, obviously, we still have issues with people that are cheating. Now, the number of straight up hackers that we see, players that are flying around the map is very low. The last one we ran into was, I want to say not last season, but the season before last. You could tell they were hacking. They had a brand new accounts. They were in the Sixes playlist, and they were flying around the map, killing me with a golden gun every 0.2 seconds, right? It's a cheater. And I think that cheaters / hackers like that have been, for the most part, addressed, but it's also is no secret that Zim and Cronus users, they are actively still cheating, right? It's something that's, it's a lot harder to detect than, your cheat software that you have downloaded and injected into game files. Bungie can scan your game files, stuff like that, but it's a lot harder to detect Zim and Cronus. But I know that Bungie can do it. Call of Duty and Activision have cracked down on Zim and Cronus users. Sorry, oh my gosh, I need to say Cronus and Zim users, right? They've cracked down on them. I don't think I've ever run into a cheater in a COD lobby. Either that or they're really good at hiding their cheats, but I don't think that's the case. Destiny, obviously, doesn't have the same dedication to PvP as Call of Duty, and I get that, but I think that at the top of anyone's list should be, we've got to tackle people who are cheating and making the game unfair for others. Imagine if you matched a brand new players, a group of brand new players, right, in a solo queue, 3 of them up against a triple stack of some of the most top tier trials players in the game, right? That's what it feels like to go against a cheater, right? It feels like being the noob, the group of 3 solo noobs, against a try-hard team. That's what it feels like to go against a cheater, and it sucks, and it is hard to notice. But when you're getting beamed, for example, when you're a Titan getting beamed by something like Immortal, something like Unending Tempest now is that we're seeing pop up in the fray, or really just any weapon. It's very difficult to believe that, hey, you're gonna tell me that you shot through the flinch, high caliber rounds. I have high caliber rounds, one of my machine guns, and I can beam people, right? It's not, I don't get solid crits, and that 0.7 TTK or whatever it is on 900 round per minute SMGs, but I can get a really fast TTK. But you're gonna tell me that somebody can sit there and beam through and get, 3 shots off with their scout rifle or their whatever, snipers, blah, 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 every single time. No, I don't think that's the case, right? And especially in games where it happens multiple times. Here's the thing. If I get sniped through flinch, 1, maybe 2 times a game, I don't think twice about it, because it happens to everybody. I have killed people through flinch, right? It's not that big of a deal, but when it happens multiple times over against the same combatant, it's okay, this is a little bit questionable, right? If they're hitting for example, yesterday in Iron Banner, playing against somebody, they were using Out of Bounds. Now, Out of Bounds is my personal favorite SMG as well. They had Rangefinder and Perpetual Motion, I think, were the perks they had on it, because I looked at it. They were absolutely doming me from outside of effective ranges. Now, mind you, I have a max range roll on my Out of Bounds that I use, right? I have the highest range you could possibly get, range masterwork, Hammerforged rifling, all that stuff, accurized rounds, all that stuff. And I cannot keep my aim on them. I know they're out of range because I'm hitting, 16, 15 a crit, and they're still laser beaming me. I'm that's not right. That doesn't sound right to me. So I think, getting on top of those cheaters is really, really important, and I think that should really be a priority. I know I said that these are no particular order, but I would say addressing Cronus and Zim users should be a priority for Bungie, and if you use them, you're cheating. I'm sorry. If you use them, that's what it is. I know people sometimes, I think Astacross has made a video on Zim / Cronus users before, where, they make the argument that it's for accessibility. I kind of don't buy that, right? But Yeah, that's a big change I would make. One of the things I do want to give Bungie like props to is currently I think the meta is actually really really balanced right now. There are a couple outliers. Gutshot Straight Amit I think is probably in need of a little bit of a tuning because that thing absolutely slaps, uh, and it's definitely gone up in usage rate. I think that there are some exotics that are kind of outliers. I know that um, the Titan boots, I can't recall what they're called, Antaeus Awards. I know that we made a video talking about them a few weeks ago. Those are outliers right now, but I don't think that Antaeus Awards is an outlier because they're so good. I think it's because everything else has kind of been nerfed and people are just kind of resorting backwards and backwards to other exotics. But I do think that Bungie has made the meta currently very, very strong. I see a vast multitude of weapons. I see all kinds of pulse rifles. I see scout rifles on larger maps, obviously. I see auto rifles, submachine guns, hand cannons, of course, hand cannons, sidearms, though. I even see bows, and bows are not something that you run into very often. Like even post Le Monarch nerf, or especially post Le Monarch nerf, you don't see bows very much. So, I've been seeing a bunch of bows, which is, it's really nice to see these, these other things. So good job for Bungie on that one. But some next, like just some ideas that we could potentially have. Oh, these are tough. More maps. Obviously, we know that. We made a video yesterday talking about the map pack that's coming. More maps, and not only more maps, but a map every season / every episode, right? Like, it's great that we're getting this map pack. Is it too much to ask to dedicate a couple of people to build a map for every new season / episode that's coming up? Like, maps have been a huge contingency point is that the right word? Contingency? Yeah, it's been a huge issue in the Destiny 2 community. People have complained about it forever. And yes, I'm excited that we're getting that map pack next year. I'm cautiously optimistic because I have a feeling Bungie's only going to do 3 maps, and 3 maps is unacceptable. But Bungie adding more maps with every season or episode, even if it's just one, is a great change that I think that you could go through with. Right? Like, don't hesitate. Don't be afraid to make a map that's crazy or wild. Don't be afraid to make a map with multi levels. Like 3-4 story maps. Maybe they don't play as well. I don't know. We'll have to see. But yeah, I think that's a pretty decent place to start. Some of the changes I know that I saw when I was looking through the Twitter post, people were asking about airborne effectiveness changes. I don't think airborne effectiveness needs to change at all. There were a lot of people that were saying airborne effectiveness should just go. They should just revert it. I don't think that's the case. I think the airborne effectiveness is pretty good where it is right now. I know that a lot of people will disagree, but you can build into airborne effectiveness. When I'm on my Titan, my SMG has 90 airborne effectiveness, my Adept Immortal. And yes, that is because I have built into that airborne effectiveness. But 90 airborne effectiveness, I mean, that thing is sticky from the sky. It is sticky from the sky. I can beam somebody while I'm flying overhead, and it just works. It feels fantastic, right? I don't think airborne effectiveness needs any changes. Let's see here. So, a couple of people were talking about the trials playlist. Remove, or they said to add in card-based matchmaking. Optimally, card-based matchmaking would be a great thing to have, but I think that you would get to a point where your later games, your 5th, 6th, and 7th games would take absolutely forever to find people because your pools are getting smaller and smaller. If you're on your 6th win, right, or if you're on your 6th game, you're going to be only matching with other players that are on their 6th game. How many players are getting to the 6th game? And the flawless game, which I think Bungie still tries to matchmake flawless players against other flawless players. Those games take forever to find. I remember the last time I went flawless, I waited literally 7 or 8 minutes before I finally got that flawless game. So I don't think that card-based matchmaking is really the play. I think that, keeping it the way it is currently, having to play another flawless team on your final game is perfectly fine where it is, right? Don't think that that's an issue at all. Let's see. And I think there was somebody who was, I think some people talked about, fire team based matchmaking in trials and in competitive. I would also disagree. I think that the matchmaking system we have now is fine. I think that the players who ask for no like fireteam based matchmaking are players who just want to smash solo players, because let's be honest, the majority of people that are in the trials playlist or in any playlist at any given time are solo players, right? So if you are 3 stacked and the game just finds you any random old people, what are the odds it's going to be 3 random people? It makes it just easier, and I don't think that's necessarily the right thing to do. I think that 3s should be matched with 3s, solos should be matched with other solos, or solos should be matched with a duo and another solo. So I think that that's fine. What else? I'm sitting here trying to think of the other things I saw on Twitter and stuff, but that's kind of some of the major points that, you know, kept popping up over and over again. One of the things that's like an idea that I have that I don't think Bungie will do, but it would be a cool idea, is of course the idea of having map voting. Okay, and I think this would help Bungie in more than just one way. I think that map voting would be fantastic because, number one, it would allow players to play their favorite maps, right? Like, you know, if we're sitting in orbit and that pops up with Disjunction or Javelin 4, what am I going to pick? I'm going to pick Javelin 4. And I guarantee you 11 other players are going to pick Javelin 4, right? And I think that's the reason why Bungie doesn't, is because they know that they're only going to have a handful of maps that people are going to actually want to play on, right? That's the reason they haven't done it yet. But I think that would be good data for Bungie, because then they could go in, they could say, you know, Disjunction is not getting voted hardly ever. Why not? Then they could go in, they could look at it. Okay, well, why do you not like Disjunction? Then the player base tells them why they don't like it. It's too damn big. It's too damn big, right? Or, you know, what's another one? Eternity. I don't like Eternity, you know, so I'm not going to vote for Eternity, right? Bungie, well, why are you not voting for Eternity? It sucks, you know, whatever reason. Obviously, you know, it sucks. It's not a valid reason, but, you know, I think that would be beneficial for Bungie if they had map voting, because they could see like what people want to play. Like when you're just forced into games, like you can't really analyze outside of, hey, people are leaving this game, but that happens on every map. I was playing a game on freaking Javelin 4 earlier today. I think it was earlier today, and 4 of my teammates left. There was me and one other person. So of course I'm going to leave too. I'm not going to sit in a game where it's 2v6. Like that's not fun. That's not entertaining to me. So I left the game. Oh, well, why is everybody leaving on, you know, this map? We have a bunch of people leaving on this map. Why? It's not always because of the map. Like, it's not always because of the map. A lot of times it's because of the situation, you know? Like I said, I know I'm not the only person that will leave a game if they see 3 or 4 other people leave, right? It's like, I would hope that if you see 3 or 4 other people leave, you would also leave the game. Like, it's not fun to sit in a game and let the enemy team just farm you over and over, right? So I think that map voting would definitely help Bungie collect data, and of course it would give players the opportunity to play on their favorite maps, right? And I know that you know, Bungie, they kind of control what maps are, you know, in rotation, right? It's no secrets, you know, that's the Anomaly, for example. The Anomaly, one of my favorite maps of the game. I don't even remember the last time I played on that. I think I played on it once 2 weeks ago, and then before that I don't even remember. Like, Anomaly never shows up in the 6v6 playlist, and it's such a fun map. And I know that that's obviously a subjective opinion, but Bungie, they like to, you know, handpick or cherry pick certain maps. Okay, like we see that, you know, shotgun usage is super high, so let's take out Anomaly, let's take out Javelin 4, let's take out this, and let's put more maps like Disjunction and Widow's Court and Eternity in there, so the players, you know, can't use shotguns as much. There we go. Now it's more balanced. That's in my opinion, that's a false like sense of balance, right? You're just changing the maps the players are playing on, right? I think that needs to go. I think that you should have a, you know, however many maps there are, that percentage, or not that percentage, but take that number, divide it by 100. That's the percentage chance. You get an equal chance to get any map in the game, like no matter what. Like if you don't do map voting, Bungie, at least give us that. Like at least give us the ability to play on every map of the game a fair amount. And last year, I'm actually going to pull it up right now. Last year, you know, I was kind of frustrated, right? I was kind of frustrated because we were seeing a lot of the same map pop up over and over and over again, right? And it got me wondering. I was like, okay, like why? Like what's going on? Like why are we getting these maps? And I have the log here. It's somewhere. God, I don't remember where it is. I'd have to find it. But anyways, what I did, I made a spreadsheet of every single map that I played on, and I basically put in a program to divide it, make it percentage. Literally last year, 20% of my games were played on disjunction. Like that's, I'm not even kidding. Like that's the number it was. Like it was 20%, and that's across like 100, like I want to say at least 100 games. Like, I mean, I kept track of this for like a couple weeks. 20%. That means 1 in 5 games was played on disjunction. The second highest like percentage was like 3% for the next map, right? That's not okay. Bungie, you should not weigh in maps like that. And I think they learned their lesson. Like, I think that they realize, oh, people hate disjunction. Number one, because it's big, but I think another reason why people hate it currently is because they played it so freaking much when the Witch Queen came out. Right, so they don't want to play it anymore. But I think they have learned their lesson a little bit on the map weighting, because I haven't played multiplex very much, so it's still a really fun, you know, exciting map. Like, I'm still trying to learn it and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, you know, case in point, don't do this like weighted maps. Like, don't lower the weight of certain maps and raise the weight of other maps. Like, just give it an equal chance to get any map in the game that you can get, right? But yeah, I think that's everything I can think of off the top of my head here. Maybe if I think of more, I'll put it in the comments down below. But of course, I want to hear your thoughts. What changes do you think Bungie should make in the Crucible? Because I know that there's probably a lot of good thoughts y'all have that I haven't thought about. So I like to read y'all's comments and see what y'all's thoughts are. Of course, if you like today's video, drop a like. It helps the channel a lot. Subscribe for more daily Destiny content and conversations such as this one. And do me a favor, watch the video you see on the end screen, because for whatever reason, YouTube thinks that you will like them. And guys, that's it for me. I'll see y'all in the next one. Bye for now.